This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded August 22nd, 2011. Episode 57, Recondite Radiation Raconteur.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
And I'm Alan Yates from, pk2zay.net.
Hey, Alan, how you doing?
G'day, mate. Pretty good. How are you?
Excellent. Fantastic
Oh
to have
God.
another Aussie on the show.
I'm outnumbered.
Yes.
We can gang
I
up
am
on him.
outnumbered. Yeah. Yep. All right.
I
Bring it
love
on.
it.
Bring on the
Ah.
American jokes. Come on. Let's hear your best. What do you got?
We'll just sneak them in there and see if you bite. Don't worry about that.
All right.
Hey, Alan. So if you don't know Alan, Alan is a fellow
Who doesn't know
Sydney.
Alan? Come on.
Everyone knows Alan. Everyone
Alan,
subscribes
yeah.
to his tweets and his blog and and his YouTube channel. Does some great
That's
videos these days. Some epic length videos.
Yeah,
Tell us about them, Alan.
Oh,
Tell us about all the stuff you do.
all
Yeah.
the stuff I do. Well, I don't know where to start. I'm a geek. I'm the geek by trade. Lately, I've obviously been doing a lot of radioactivity stuff, but ham radio operator, so RF's another thing that I've been playing with. My day job, I'm a software engineer, although lately R&D, hardware plus software kind of guy. Yeah, it's a different kind of a job for me. For many years, I've been web monkey software guy, but I was brought on at Netcom, which is an Australian hardware company. They do various 3G and router-based products that I've been doing the hardware and software for. It's interesting.
And for those who don't know Netcom, they're a famous Australian company who developed one of the world's fastest modems back before you were born, Chris, I'm sure.
That's right.
The famous Netcom modems. It did I think it did 19,200 bits per second back in its day, and it was like
it was one of the
twice
first,
as fast as anything else.
one of the first 19.2 modems, and
That's right. They did a lot of the early research into, advanced modem technology and stuff like that, and it was a big success story. Netcom's a huge, Australian success story and all that sort of stuff. And what happened?
Well, yeah, for a while they went on to buying stuff rather than developing it themselves, but they've got their groove back. They've invested heavily in R&D, and I'm part of that investment, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
So you were doing software before that, you said, web programming stuff?
Yes.
How did you make that transition?
Oh, well, that's a long story. Straight out of uni, I decided to start my own internet service provider company. And I did that for quite a few years until it got to the point where it was invest and go the DSL route or do more web and software kind of things. Because along the way, because you had to do everything. I did marketing to building everything. And I got pretty good with software. So a lot of people were, please do my website for me, back in the day when that was actually cool and you could make some money out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I jumped into that for a while. Worked for a lot of different companies. I worked for AAPT, Xerox, you name it. Did the Sydney Festival one year. And actually the year 2000, that was right to the Olympics and everything. That was a fun time. But eventually, come last year, I was a bit sick of doing that and I wanted to look for something else. And I thought, well, for years I've been into hardware in one form or another. Why not do something that sort of spans the gap between software and hardware? Because I can do bare metal programming. I've been a C programmer for years, and I thought, awesome, let's try that out. And
Okay, thank God, because when you said 1 year, I was like, holy crap, did he learn all this stuff in 1 year? Holy crap,
Right.
Holy crap, I'm going to feel really dumb right now. All right, so the hobby stuff goes further back, but you're just starting to get into the professional side of
absolutely
doing it
yeah.
full time.
Yeah, one
Okay.
of my first toys was a light globe and some alligator clips and a battery that my dad got for me. So I've been a bit of a hardware hacker for years.
Nice.
Beautiful.
So how is that transition? I mean, do you still come home at night and work on hobby stuff, or is it that's always seems to be the tough thing? People say don't do your hobby as a full-time job because you'll start to kind of regret the hobby. Have you felt that, or is it kind of the opposite?
It's kind of the opposite. See, for 10 years I kind of did my hobby, being an ISP, you know, and all the software and hardware bits and pieces that were associated with doing that. That was my hobby. And that can be tough. I mean, it can be particularly tough because you can never get away from it. When you work for yourself, you know, you don't have strict hours, you don't have sick leave or anything like that. You either work or you don't, and you work like crazy for yourself, probably more than you would for any employer. But I do have other hobbies. I've got, you know, pyrotechnics and things like that to fall back on if I ever get bored. But so far it's been great. It's been very busy, but that's just one particular project that we've been doing at the moment.
Well, that raises an interesting question. I mean, Chris, who's going around saying that you shouldn't do your hobby for a full-time
I've heard
job?
that a couple places recently.
Yeah, really?
I wish I had a source.
Well, I reckon they're just not passionate enough about it then.
Yeah, maybe that's possible. I mean, but I mean, it is easier to burn out that way. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's because I wrote about burnout a couple weeks ago because I'm starting to. You know,
Right.
I've been working a lot.
You're
you guys
starting to
work a
burn
lot.
out, are you? Is that
I'm not burning out per se, but I mean, like it's just possible if you do if you do the same thing over and over again. Not even the same thing, but the same field. You know, if like Alan, if you were just doing ISP stuff, right? If you didn't have ham and everything else that you do, you'd start to burn out, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I hear you there, Chris, because after doing it for so many years, it's one of the reasons why, you know, I jumped ship to more software centric, and then also this latest jump to, you know, bare metal programming, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you got to have some change. I mean, I alternate between my hobbies anyway. I tend to go through one, I don't know, probably because I'm a bit crazy. I fixate on one thing for you know, a year or two, and then I jump to the next thing. At the moment, it's radioactivity. You know, before that it was, I don't know, whatever the last hobby was, and before that it was pyro, and yeah, it's just the way I am.
Okay.
So pyrotechnics. I actually didn't have that on the list. I haven't seen any of this stuff. I mean, maybe I need to go back to some of your older YouTube videos. But what were you doing? Were you blowing stuff up? I'm guessing.
Blowing stuff up. That's what everyone calls it. No, yeah, basically. Let's be honest about it.
All right. Get
No,
down to
I
brass
was.
tacks here.
Yeah, it was a. Well, yeah, when you're younger, I think every kid, particularly every boy, likes to play with fireworks and blow stuff up. It was banned
Unfortunately, they banned it. Yeah, they banned them here in Australia.
It was banned
Yep.
at a time that I was kind of just getting old enough to get, you know, really into it as an art form as well as a technical hobby. So I carried on illegally for a fair while, and then I ended up being licensed. I am actually a licensed pyrotechnician. I can put on displays, although I gave up on doing that because it was it's quite expensive with all the insurance that you need, and yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, yeah, it's wonderful. You put on awesome shows, and yeah, the crowd loves it, but with all the regulations, and it's a mug's game, I think. But there's some guys out there that are dedicated. They do it every day because they love it, and yeah. But I'm happy.
That's
to help
why
them out.
I do electronics every day, and I can't ever see myself burning out of electronics, regardless of how much I do it. It's always, I've got other interests and other hobbies as well, but, you know, I'm always doing something with electronics, whether it's just reading a forum or doing something, you know, I'm always involved with it. And I always have been for 30 plus years. So
I mean, that's a pretty broad thing, though, too. Like even Alan said, you know, he's been bouncing from radioactivity detection to RF to digital to analog to programming. That's a big field right there.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I mean, I was
massive.
talking
It's
about
almost
this.
infinite.
If you so say I just did analog all day, then I came home and I did analog all night, right? And you know, working at my bench, that would start to get boring. I mean, I've been doing some other stuff, but that's what I really meant. I mean,
right? Okay.
Electronics is a big field. You know that, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's massive.
So when you say pyrotechnics, though, so I think pyrotechnics, I think about, you know, like triggering and firing off, you know, prefabricated fireworks, right? So rockets and everything else.
That's exactly what I think of as well.
Okay, so is it that, or is it also like controlling flamethrowers and that? Because that's what I really want it to be in my head.
Or is it actually building your own fireworks themselves, actually packing the powder in there. And, you know.
It was building my own.
Right, I can imagine that would be quite an art and fun. And
it is. It's an interesting, coming together of basic hand tool skills. Being able to build something from scratch, and also the chemistry and the physics, and it's quite an interesting hobby. I guess I'm a sucker for those kind of technical hobbies. That's why I do ham radio. I don't. Although talking to people is great, I don't do that as much as I probably should. I tend to be a digital mode guy, and one of the reasons I got my ticket was so that I could legally, transmit and build my own equipment, and again, the electrical part of my hobby. But I guess I don't know. Everything that I do is about studying how the universe is and using whatever it's got while over I'm here to play with it.
Cool.
That sounds pretty lofty.
So has the ham radio? You're into the ham radio field here in Australia. Is it dying in terms of people talking to each other, like actually over the radio anymore? Is that dying off, or is it more, or is it still out there? Are people still, spending hours a day just chatting to each other?
I believe it's called chewing the rag, right, Alan? I've been reading my book.
Right, chewing the rag, okay.
Indeed. It depends on the age group, I think. There's a lot of older gentlemen.
I thought there was only one age group for ham radio. Sorry, but that's...
No, there's old and older. Come on.
Right.
And there's also old at heart, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's some of us stuck in the middle, I think, that aren't quite old enough to be old yet, but... Yeah, and there's a lot of obviously new people, particularly with the foundation license that's come along, that allows people to get on with with less technical skill while they learn more about amateur radio, and it gives them a chance to try it out.
Right.
That's probably
okay.
So could you explain that to? I've never heard of. I don't know the Australian difference. I hardly know anything about American stuff so far. I've been busy, but in the U.S. there's three licenses, right? There's technician, there's general, and then there's extra. Is it paralleled in Australia?
We don't really have an extra class anymore. We have like the full calls, pretty much unlimited, I think they call it now, unrestricted, I can't remember. It's been a while. I got my license a fair few years ago now, and the rules have since changed. You needed Morse code when I first got mine to get what you'd call the general. We no longer need that. If you've done the full amateur operator certificate of proficiency, which is like the detailed theory plus regs, you get everything.
Right.
They don't really have the novice anymore. They're more concentrating on this the foundation core, which is sort of a really basic introduction of building blocks. This is kind of how a radio works, and it gets people interested in it. It was aimed obviously at youth to get new blood into the hobby. You could get on with limited technical skills, but it also gives you a huge incentive to upgrade because you get very little bandwidth. You can't do a lot of power. You can't do certain modes. I think you can't even do digital modes unless they're built into your radio. So it's very. I'm not 100% up on the regs because I've never had to have that restriction myself. I did the AOCP straight off and became originally it was called a limited call. That's why I'm a Z call, because we weren't allowed to operate on certain bands, but now we're allowed everything because Force has been removed as an international requirement for ham operators.
Right. Interesting.
So how much?
Can you tell us more about this radiation stuff you've been working on?
I'm not done with ham yet,
You're not
Dave.
done with ham? You're a ham sponge. You are.
I am. I just want to know. I mean, like, have you transmitted outside Australia much, or?
Oh yes.
How much?
Yeah, particularly when I was younger, I actually started the whole RF craze, I suppose you could say, back in the days when CB had that sort of second peak. I was obviously too young to get the first one where the whole smoking
back
the
in
bandit.
the 70s.
Yeah, I missed that one, but the second peak right before it kind of died, I was on board with, and that got me interested enough to actually. That's when I got my call sign. So, and then I've obviously spoken to people all over the planet. 20 meters is probably the best band for that. I tend to use PSK31, which is a digital mode where you can keyboard chat to someone, which works quite well with weak signals.
That works well over the internet, I've heard.
That's
Depends on the
cheating.
day, Dave. I mean, we've had some of our own issues here, so
Yeah, we have. Oh boy.
yeah.
That must be hard now, because really, communications is so instant and available to everyone now via the internet.
Yeah,
Do you guys get the feeling, well, what's the point anymore? It's like,
yeah,
I guess it must be hard, especially if you're just talking or you're just chatting or something like that. I can sort of appreciate the ability. Okay, yeah, I've built a circuit that interfaces to a radio, and I'm transmitting, and I'm not using the internet, and it's all great. But surely you must go, oh, that's great, I've done it. Move on,
Well, ham radio is many things to many different people. I mean, some people enjoy the contesting, trying to rack up as many contests as they can, as many contacts as they can in a limited period.
Right, yeah.
Some people just enjoy the rag chew, right? They want to talk to their friends. I certainly, if you turn on a receiver and listen to 80 meters, you'll hear people that have been talking to each other for 25 years and will probably still be doing it right up until they die. There's guys on the back of their tractor talking to their wife and things like that. Some people just enjoy using it as an alternative mechanism, and because it's it's just different. And I think there'll always be people that will enjoy that. There's also people like me that enjoy it as a technical hobby. We probably spend less time talking on it than we do, designing transmitters, receivers, or completely unrelated things. Have microcontrollers and the internet and the general mobile phone and all that really removed the reason to have it? Yes and no. I don't know. There's a lot of creativity and a lot of things that I suppose where you still need that place where people who have an interest in RF can go and practice their skills. I suppose you could say. I don't think it'll ever die. I mean, it is in terms of numbers. Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's regressing. A lot of people, as natural attrition, people die. They pass on. But for the younger generation, I think it's an awesome hobby, and I think it'll always be around until they pry the spectrum from our cold dead hands.
Cold dead hands, yes, Charlton Heston style.
Absolutely.
I had an interesting email actually a week or two back. Chris, you might know of this. It didn't really make the news here, but the BART in San Francisco, in the BART system, which is their underground tube system, they decided to shut that down during a community protest thing. They'd organised this protest. Somebody, I don't know, what was it about? Somebody got shot on the subway or on the BART system or something. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, they were organising this formal protest, and the people who run the BART, because it's not a government run thing. I think it's a privately run train system in San Francisco. They decided to actually disperse the crowd. Actually not. To make sure this protest didn't get out of hand, they actually shut down the mobile phone system in all the tunnels and everything. They actually deliberately shut down the phone system. And anyway, and it pissed off a lot of people. It made the news saying, oh, you can't do that, it's unconstitutional and all sorts of rah-rah, which you'd obviously get from doing such a stupid thing, shutting down the phone system. But I got an email from somebody who said, could I design something that was independent of the internet? We're too reliant too reliant upon the phone system and the internet and everything. Can I design something so that we can actually talk to each other over the span of a couple of kilometers, and stuff like that?
What is it? It's something.
I know
this.
It's like it's a walkie-talkie, and but there's other, but because it's underground, then you've got that line of sight.
Yeah.
Thing, unless you use very long wavelengths, right, Alan? You know more about this. Long wavelengths for penetrating.
Like speleophones and things like that, where you can, for caving, you can go right down to LF and they go right through hundreds of meters of rock. But again,
as rock and stuff like
the
that.
antenna required is a bit of a problem.
It's a bit of an issue, yeah. Can't you go to some sort of newfangled fractal antenna or something like that?
Fractal antenna.
But it's still got to be 100 meters long, right? Is that the?
Oh, we'll probably get sued if we talk about that. I remember a chap who used to defend the name fractal antenna with all his might, but.
Oh, really? Oh, well, we have no fear on the amp hour here. Yeah, fractal antennas, if anyone doesn't know, they're what used in phones these days. It's, when phones used to have antennas sticking out of them, and they don't have that anymore? It's because of this antenna and fractal antenna technology, where basically the concept is, if you, with a basic antenna, you need X amount of wavelengths, say it's a metre long, and you need a 1 metre long, but there's, half dipoles and other things, but we won't go into that. But let's say you need something a metre long. Well, you can make a much smaller antenna by making it a fractal shape, like the edge actually like a big zigzaggy type thing, and you can fit that, say, in 1 metre.
A zigzag, huh, Dave?
Well,
you can only,
come on,
you can only cheat the laws of physics so much, unfortunately, Dave.
Yeah. So much. But anyway, you can fit, that equivalent wavelength antenna, equivalent sensitivity into a tiny little, package, like a centimetre square or something like that.
Yeah, I have awesome respect.
I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it works on the fractal technique that there is no boundary. There is, when you keep zooming in on a fractal, it's, there's an infinite amount of definition and detail in there. And somehow, fractal antennas work the same way. So,
I'm not sure
really
about
neat.
the physics myself, but
I'm not sure of the practical implementation.
I know there are limits.
I'm sure you can't just etch a little zigzagged track as I said onto a PCB, but but I believe it works on a similar concept. So
nowadays we have all kinds of computational electromagnetic programs that let you design stuff, and they take care of the plastic that's around it, and we obviously. At Netcom, where there's people that build antennas for us, and they design it.
Oh, okay.
Then you build the real thing, and you find it doesn't quite work as is, and some guy goes in with an X-Acto knife and trims the edge of it. It does work, So there's still a certain amount of art in making antennas. Multi-band antennas in particular, when you have to wrap them around all of what's inside a cell phone, it's a bit of a black art, but there's a fair bit of science as well.
Yep. I actually believe you can buy them. You can actually buy these commercial antennas. Yeah, you see, here I'm right. I'm Googling fractal antenna, and you Google it, and you get these lots of funky... They almost look like, actually
like
fractal
fractals.
images. Yeah, they go figure, So, it's really neat. It's really neat technology, and that has allowed, to get... them to get really high sensitivity antennas in these crazily small spaces. And it helps if you go up in frequency too, of course.
That's the big thing that helps them, is that you're up at multi-gig frequencies where you can, your full
the antenna's only a centimetre anyway.
Yeah.
Right, a couple of centimetres wavelength. But still, apparently from what I read a bit about fractal antennas quite a while back, and apparently they actually improve the sensitivity over a standard antenna as well, So, but I'm sure it's not, it's a bit of a black art, but I'm sure it all, eventually meets the laws of physics. So, we certainly aren't, even Scotty from Star Trek couldn't beat the laws of physics, so, I won't try and do
your best
Scottish impression. No, I won't do it. I'll spare everyone.
Alan, real quick before we get back to the radiation thing, because Dave said black art, I saw an article this week again, another one about analog, because I'm a big fan of analog.
No, we didn't know.
But basically,
he's moving to the dark side of digital.
I'm just wondering if you've ever done. No, come on. I mean, do you have a lot of experience in that kind of area? I saw an article about analog, at least on the chip side of things, in San Jose. At least there was a Mercury News article,
right?
And just how they're paying people no matter where they are, basically. So that's like you can work wherever you wanted to, kind of thing. I don't know if you had any analog experience or anything like that.
No, not really. I'm a beginner at most things electronic. I know how to bias a transistor, and that's about it. All else from there on, I got to the point where I could probably design a dodgy op amp. So I'm happy that now that I could design a dodgy op amp, I can go and use one that someone's designed for me. Before that, I was kind of I've tried to always stick with discrete transistors because I thought that I learnt more that way. But also, it's very hard to get stuff done if you spend the entire day building. That way.
That's why I abandoned discrete transistors, back in the 80s or something. It was just, you sort of learnt about them, and then you realise, well, the ICs are much better, It's just...
there's some benefits sometimes. I mean...
of course.
No, it depends on the project, but from the educational point of view, right, I love working with discrete stuff because it's bare metal again. The bare metal programmer part of me comes out, I suppose, in the hardware field, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of RF stuff, the circuits are that simple anyway that you can build them quite practically. You just dead bug away, and at the end of the day, you've got a working receiver, right? And it's only got 6 or 7 things in it. So.
Well, you can build an FM transmitter with one transistor. So, it certainly ain't rocket science. Although how it works is quite involved. If you actually go into the physics of how it all works, then you could write a whole PhD thesis on how a single transistor FM transmitter works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So what are some other builds you've done, like for transmitters and stuff like that? Do you do really involved builds, or are they smaller kind of like piecemeal kind of builds?
Nowadays I have little time to do big projects. I mean, the biggest thing that I've done for a while is obviously the 555 contest. That was several weeks.
That was. Yes, if people don't remember, Alan won the 555. Well, won an aspect of the 555. He won the Aussie prize. Actually, he won several prizes, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You greedy person.
Yeah, I did feel a little bit bad about that,
it was
actually.
Well
I thought that that other chap that did the Pong, the collision game thing, I thought that was pretty awesome too. There were so many other great projects. I mean, it must have been really hard for the judges to pick, to be honest, and all of the work...
That's why I didn't get involved.
Well, you got somewhat involved.
No, he really didn't. He didn't do much at all.
I did. No, I didn't do much. But, because I knew how much work it would be judging that thing. So, yeah.
No, it was great.
So how'd you come up with some of those? That was one of my questions. Just what the hell were you thinking, man?
Yeah, I was insane, wasn't I?
Come on. It was only, 110 555s or something?
110, 111, something like that. No, I was... It was one of those things, I think, years and years ago, like from back in the 50s, I saw an article on building a sort of a similar machine, but it was made out of neon bulbs and diodes, and I thought...
So can you remind people what it was, just so people have a context of what you're talking about?
The big project that I did for the 555 contest was a calculating or an adding machine. It's basically a decimal accumulator with 9 decades, all built using 555s. The other smaller project that I did was a spectrum analyzer using 555s for the time base and the log amplifier. But the adding machine was, I think the thing that made it kind of special was using an old decadic dialing mechanism to dial in the numbers.
Yeah.
That was a bit of an inspired guess that I came up with. I thought, decadic, it's a decadic adder. Yeah, why not? I can use the pulses from those fantastic old mechanisms to drive it. Conceptually, it's quite a simple machine. It's just a lot of work to put it together. It's the same building block over and over and over again.
It was all about the build, really, because, such concepts are quite simple. I thought that your RF, your RF one was a bit more technically advanced. So it's, it's all about the build, really.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, in terms of the amount of effort required, absolutely, it was a good project. The RF one though, I was quite proud of that little spectrum analyzer. I mean, it's a very simple machine. It does. It's a toy, but it was something that I had been thinking about for many years. I was originally going to build it discrete, and 7 or 8 transistors or something, but the 555 made it quite
Right.
easy, and it's a fun little thing. I mean, it's in a tin, and I use it all the time. I actually use it as a band monitor because it's quite good for showing me all of HF, like basically almost DC up to about 20 megahertz. I can watch all of HF, and I can see when the propagation, when the ionosphere is active. You can see all the broadcast channels, the shortwave bands being
Cool.
active, and I use it for that pretty much daily.
That's pretty great. So it's not really a toy then.
Well, it's a toy as far as spectrum analyzer instruments go. I don't think Agilent's going to buy it off me or anything, but it's yeah.
And the tin and everything? I don't know, man.
Speaking of contests, the winner for the Touchstone contest has been announced, has it not, Chris?
That's right, yeah. And it was the one you called, Dave.
It was the one I called. There you go.
I mean, honestly, it was the one the only one who told us that he had submitted something. But
Yeah, well, granted. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
actually look at any other entries, but I just thought that one should win straight off the bat because it was, ta-da, a 555 timer.
Oh yes,
Built using
the 18 hertz one, right?
built using an op amp. So
The 18 hertz oscillator one, yes.
yes,
Yeah.
18 hertz, and he confirmed that. I called that as well. All he did was build it and then turn down the frequency until he met the current requirement. So that's genius in its own right,
yeah, exactly.
That's great. So thoroughly deserving winner. Sorry, I forget who actually won it. I forget the name.
Eric
Oh.
something.
There you go. You're on the ball.
Congratulations, Eric.
Embedded Eric.
Right. Yes. Well done. It was $1,000 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Nothing to sneeze at there, so.
No, excellent. I think he mentioned in a forum or somewhere, he mentioned, no, it was in our Amp Hour comments from last week. Yes, he mentioned what he was going to spend the money on or something. So, well done. I love it.
Definitely.
555 again.
It will
For
never
the
die.
win. It's unbelievable. Are there any other ones like that? I mean, that are that ubiquitous. I can't say the word. I'm hopeless.
Ubiquitous?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I screw it up every time.
So, Alan, did you there was someone in the contest that did like radiation hardness stuff on a 555. I think it ended up being kind of not, I don't think it worked, but did you ever look at that stuff? I mean, do you do rad hard stuff when you do radiation testing, or are you doing it just for detection
I'm just
of
doing it
radiation?
for detection. I basically, expose the dye and irradiate the heck out of it, see what happens. I couldn't do that with a 555. One of the things I actually wanted to do for the minimalist entry, which I never got around to, I ran out of time, was to take apart an old 555 and probe the dye and maybe use one of the output transistors or something because they're big enough. But, I didn't have one that I could take apart, unfortunately. I didn't have any nitric acid or anything to etch one away, so, yeah, that never happened. Next time.
I should probably mention what my entry was going to be.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, should I? I don't think I've ever mentioned it. I was going to enter just for fun, not to actually win a prize, because I wasn't really, I couldn't enter really, but not to win a prize. But I actually I built this thing up. My idea was to build a self-exploding 555 timer. So you actually hook up the circuit, you apply power, and it blows itself up. It blows a hole in its own chip. And
Dave, freshmen in college have been doing that for years, and it doesn't have to be a
Right,
555. 741s, 2
No, but this one does it itself. It uses the timer capability, and it actually blows itself up by... I worked out a configuration where it might possibly do it, and I tried it, and I was able to kill the chip, but it didn't smoke or blow a hole in it like I was hoping for. It'd actually blow too quick. The internal die would blow too quickly, and it'd kill itself, sure. I claim it to be the world's first functional self-destructing 555 timer circuit.
Yeah,
So,
get
I'll
yourself
have
on
to
some
post
no-fly lists with the U.S. government, too.
Right.
You're never allowed back in again.
Yeah, I was hoping to either get some smoke out of it or and I'm sure that if I did it, people would have gone, oh, but I can do that by hooking 240 volts across it,
Yeah.
But that wasn't the point. The point was to actually have a real circuit that timed itself and actually blew itself up. So anyway, I thought it was cool, but it didn't. Yeah, it wasn't spectacular at all. And I killed my 1970, 5 vintage 555 timer chip. Oh, that was stupid. I didn't even realise. I picked one out of my bin and thought, oh, yeah, it's a 555 timer. Whack it in there. And I realised it was a very rare 75 vintage or something. Oh, I know. Sorry, all you 555 aficionados out there. It's like having... It's like smashing a Ferrari or something, all the other Ferrari owners,
Are there really people that care that much? I don't think there's that.
I don't know. Maybe. No. Never know. People are passionate about these sort of things.
I guess so.
Yeah. Anyway, Alan, tell us more about the radiation stuff you're working on. Because I haven't seen your videos on that yet. I haven't seen your work on that. How does it work? How do you detect radiation?
There's a bunch of different ways. One of the simplest is just really a tin can with a bit of wire in the middle. It's called an ion chamber. Basically, when particle or quanta electromagnetic radiation interacts with the air inside the can, it produces ions, which produces a very small current, which you can measure with a FET. It's a simple thing. There's a great website, techlib.com, which Charles Wenzel runs. If you're interested at all in radioactivity and detection thereof using stuff that you can just throw together, you should go to that website. It's pretty awesome.
Cool.
I've done much the same thing. I've got counting chambers, and one of my latest ones uses a pin diode, which is an idea that's been floating around for years. Gamma rays are just like light, really. They're electromagnetic radiation, but they're just much higher frequency.
Yep.
So when they interact with a semiconductor, they produce pairs of holes and electrons, and they can get accelerated by an electric field across the semiconductor, and they produce a small current. And you can even have avalanche photodiodes, which work with pretty much the same way as a Geiger counter does in a lot of ways. All of these circuits are on my website. Actually, I haven't documented the photodiode one yet. The Burkhard Kaneki, I think his name is a German chap. He's been doing some work on that of late. And I got the inspiration to start playing with it from him, even though I'd seen over the years there's been many articles. I think there's a Maxim application note about doing it as well, which is quite good. There's a whole bunch of resources out there on the net about it, but the little one that I built sits on top of a 9-volt battery, plugs into one of those little thumb counters that you can count people walking through a gate or something with, like a Geiger counter just counts events basically. I built it because it was it's very cheap. Like a photodiode's 50 cents or something compared to a Geiger tube, which, well, thanks to Fukushima, is now about $20 or more for the tiny little useless ones you get on eBay, up to like $200 for a decent one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're like, aren't they seeing a lot of counterfeits now and busted ones that they're selling on eBay?
Seals are broken on them, or it's terrible. And people selling ion chambers that are 0 to corpse meters, that if you get a movement out of the needle at all, you're probably already dead. Those kind of things. So there's unfortunately, whenever there's any kind of stuff like that happens, all the creeps come out of the woodwork and try to flog off these old civil defense meters. But
God, I hate that. Yep.
So what got you into this? I mean, so you said that the German guy, kind of got you interested in it, but was there like a reason was it because of Fukushima that you got started in this, or because of just personal interest?
Personal interest, really. I've been interested for many years. It's kind of I actually started before the Fukushima thing happened. It's yet another part of our world. It's a natural thing that people don't really see because we don't have any ability to detect it ourselves unless it's at such a high level that it's actually cooking you. But if you're the rocks all around you, potassium chloride, which some people use as a salt substitute, there's plenty of things in this world that are significantly radioactive, and
bananas,
exactly.
Right?
Potassium 40 in bananas, in salt substitute. There's uranium and thorium in many rocks. Granite tabletops, for example. Natural radon in the air. I know whenever it rains, I can see increases in the background levels of radon around here. I kind of live on a sandy sort of an area, and I think there's...
No,
I was going to say, like, you live... I thought you were going to say, like...
the US, Chris, where you guys have got nuclear dumps everywhere. Isn't Simpsons a documentary?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Well, radioactivity is one of those
Wow.
Homer at the
35 minutes in to make a Yank joke, huh, Dave? You guys have been wasting time.
Yeah, I held off. Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
by the way,
it is a waste.
you know how there's is it Americium?
Yeah.
Americium?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say? Yeah.
Yes.
Is there an Osseous or anything like that? Or?
No, because we're not arrogant enough to name an element after ourselves.
No elements named after Australia? That's what I'm...
We aren't arrogant
So that's
Yanks,
what we're saying?
no,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, because I saw, Alan, you're doing testing with some of that stuff, right? You, pull it out of, smoke detectors? Is that right?
Yes, just don't tell the NRC that. But
Oh, no, I didn't say that. No.
Most of the ionisation detectors sold here in Australia have a small amount of americium in them. I think it's about 37 kilobecquerels or something. It's 1 microcurie, I think, in the US speak.
Yeah.
What was the other unit? I didn't catch the unit.
It's like hertz for random processes.
Huh. That's really cool. Micro becquerels?
That's one. It's like 1 event per second. So I think there are about 37,000 events per second. They emit alpha radiation, which is very ionizing, which is what they use in the smoke detector. Obviously, produces again small current. It's an ion chamber inside the smoke detector, and when smoke gets in there, it changes the amount of current being passed. And there's a special IC that picks up the changing current and triggers the.
So could you hack? Oh, sorry.
No.
Please continue.
That was pretty much it, actually.
Could you hack a smoke detector as a counter? As actually a Geiger counter?
No, that they operate at fairly high ionization levels. Americium is a very good ionizer.
Right.
But the actual chip, I looked at the data sheet for several of the chips that are used in them, and unfortunately they don't really lend themselves to it. Even though they've got an excellent front end, most of the interesting electronics is hidden away inside the chip. You can't really get access to it. There's a number of particularly good... Yeah, there's a couple of good JFETs you can get. There's the 2N4117A. It's got very low leakage, and obviously there's a lot of great
JFET of the week.
JFET of the week. You might have some trouble getting them because I bought a whole bunch of them recently and kind of emptied out the file. Element 14 now.
2N411. You Aussies and your double this, double that. It's just 2N4117.
Yep, the A version if you can get it.
Oh yeah, you've always got to get the premium spec A version.
There's also,
regardless of what part it is, if it's an op amp or something, give me the A spec version. Bloody oath.
Yeah, unless there's a B out there, which is then improved on the A.
It might be improved again, or a C version, which is 0.1% instead of 1% or something. Yeah. Oh boy. Should we get on to some news?
What was Alan saying about the 2N4117A? You said you could build a front end with that, Alan?
They're almost ideal for it. There's also a lot of op amps nowadays, obviously, that have femtoampere level bias currents. And they're pretty much they're crazy. 1 device and you've got yourself a pretty reasonable detector. It's great for science fair projects and things like that. Even some of the low leakage, particularly high gain transistors you can get nowadays can do it.
Yeah, I've seen the app notes on some of those. The LMP7721. That's a killer part. I don't know if National's going to keep that around, but we'll see. We'll see when National gets finally swallowed. But it's
when's that happening? I haven't heard a peep out of that.
Last time I talked to someone, they're kind of they're taking their time. They got a lot of legal stuff to work out, but I'm sure they'll get there. Speaking
of companies being bought or sold. HP, we'll get on some news. It's only been 45 minutes. That's the teletype. The EEV blog, the amp hour teletype. Sorry, wrong show.
Yes.
I get confused. So I've got a massive number of shows I work on too.
Yeah.
It's binary, But HP have announced that they plan to reinvent the company. I'm using the quote marks. And they're getting out of the computer business. They want to sell off the computer aspect of their business, and they they want to buy. I can't remember who it is. They're buying some wank word company.
Oh, a software company, yeah.
Yeah, who specialise in some wank business. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can go see the news report for yourself. And the shares plummeted on the announcement. They absolutely nosedived because as if HP weren't doing bad enough already under their new CEO. I forget his name. Who cares? They all suck, right? And they've been driving HP into the ground for decades. Anyway, they plan on reinventing, getting out of that and getting. They no longer want to be in touch with the consumer or something like that. So they no longer want to deal at the consumer level. They're at the big business, ether type level.
Well,
where
they want
somehow make money out of something.
they don't want to play with consumer margins. That's what it really is.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to chase the race to the bottom, and all that.
I don't
sort
get
of
what's
stuff.
left though. What's left? I don't get what's left. They make computers.
That's
they
what
sold off
nobody else knows
Agilent.
either.
Like there's nothing. There's nothing left there, right?
Well, if you read an interesting article by Bob Cringely, who we'll link in, one of my favourite IT industry bloggers, it's a very interesting article, and what's left basically of HP. So there ain't much. They don't have much place to go at all. They don't have many options, and a lot of the companies which they could buy to actually help them. Actually do things again have already been gobbled up. So there's very few of those to do it. So they're in deep shit. Apparently they've, Bob Cringely, who's, very noted in the industry, is saying that, well, they've left their run too late and, pretty much, they're going to need a lot of luck to get out of this hole they dug themselves. So
yeah, that was actually, I really liked that article, the Cringely article.
Yeah.
They, So he wrote about stuff that I'm really interested about, like the days when Bill and Dave were there, right?
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
Alan, you ever read about any of that stuff? The HP days back when they were the hot shitter in town,
back when they made real equipment and they were an instrument company as opposed to PCs or whatever they do nowadays.
As opposed to a consumer company.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so
there's an awesome story in there. Sorry, go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, I've always liked that, like reading about like how they did, just how they were so good at making new stuff, and I don't know about you guys, but like I've been kind of reading about this stuff a lot lately. There's I talked about Dan Pink on here before, and just kind of like creativity and all that stuff interests me, how that kind of stuff happens, and one of the things in here, it really caught my eye. They had Friday afternoons to do whatever the hell they wanted to.
Google time.
Google
time.
That's just awesome.
People think Google invented that, right? With their 10%, employees can spend 10% of their time on other projects. And no, HP invented that way back, decades, many, many decades before Google come up with the concept. I'm not even sure Google was the first modern.
It was 3M after HP because they talk about
I'm sure
sticky
there's
notes,
lots
right?
of other companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, they'd have Friday afternoons off, and you could not only work on any project you wanted, but you had an open slate to go get anything from the Agilent storehouse at all. So if you wanted to take home some weird chemical or material or, a $1 million bit of equipment to work on your project or something, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
You did it, and
I sent this to a friend,
Brilliant.
and then in the article they talk about whatever you need, right? And one of the stuff was magnetron or a barrel of acetone. And someone I sent it to says, "What the hell do you do with a barrel of acetone?" Like,
well, obviously you're not creative enough.
I guess so. Maybe it's. I'd get on the no-fly list at that point. I think like me and Dave sitting on the no-fly list together, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's brilliant. So that's how they used to operate back in the day, and that's how a lot of their innovations came about, because of the people taking Friday afternoon. The entire company would just, go and work on weird shit on Friday afternoons. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Alan, do you guys have that at your company? I mean, do you have that kind of set in? I'm loath to call it like innovation time, but like it's almost what it is, like a time to really sit down and work on something different.
Unfortunately, not in a formal manner at the moment yet. Muds will probably kill me for saying that, but no, I think it's we are given quite a lot of latitude with what we do. It's a great thing about actually my boss he's a technical person himself, obviously, and he understands that you need to be allowed to have, your creativity. They don't try to be too prescriptive about how you do anything. They trust you as a professional to do things the right way. It's a little bit easier for me because I'm actually in the R&D department where we do crazy stuff, brand new things and they understand that maybe 50% of it, won't work at all, and it'll just never see the
50? Jeez, that'd be a fantastic if 50% of your shit worked.
Yeah, that's true too, unfortunately.
They had the same thing at Altium, really, but once again, like Netcom, it wasn't formal. It was just you can, if you want to work on your own shit, as long as you get your other work done. Yeah. We don't care. They actively encourage you to work on your own stuff in company time, and it was good.
I was reading about that today. Apparently, there's an actual term for that. It's called bootlegging.
Bootlegging.
Really?
Yeah. So some people call it like skunk works and that kind of thing, but it's technically called bootlegging. There's a wiki article. I'll put that.
I'm sure there's many names, and I'm sure it's different in every country as well.
Yeah, there are a bunch of German names they put in there too.
Well, here we call it a foreign order project.
Oh yeah.
So if you're working for the foreign order department, then so you would so if you go into the storeroom and you're asking for a part and they say who's it, what's it for? You've got to give like a project number or something. You go, it's a foreign order project, and nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, fine. That's
nice.
I love it.
I like.
Oh, brilliant. Are there if anyone out there if their company has anything formal like that, please leave a comment.
I'd love to hear more about that.
We'd love to hear about it. More news, shall we? As we've got 10 minutes left.
I guess
Let's get into our segments here on the
This one doesn't really
which
seem like
loves.
news to me. This one here.
No, it's not. I put it up here. Anyway, there's an article in EE Times about how, shock horror, China are undercutting someone, but who are they undercutting? Well, they're undercutting themselves, basically. They're undercutting Taiwan. So
and all the Taiwanese listeners, write into Dave.
Yeah,
that's right into Dave's email address. He said it. I did not. Thank you. I understand the difference.
Technically, China owns Taiwan, right? I don't know. I don't know my international politics, but it's like China now own Hong Kong again, right? That's.
Yeah, they're like a separate government, but they are
right.
Yeah,
but technically
they're closer to China than they were to. They're closer to China now than they are to Britain, which was previously there.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are we talking about there? Hong Kong or Taiwan?
Hong Kong.
Right. Oh yes, Hong Kong was a British thing. It was a British colony or whatever. But yeah, they had to hand it back. They formally handed it back. So now Hong Kong is. I thought it was 100% Chinese. Am I wrong? Chinese owned. If owned is the word,
here.
we're out of our depth again, just like with cars, right?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Anyway, there's a news article that the instrument company Goodwill, they go under Instec as well, so they're Goodwill Instec. I don't know what they call themselves. Depends which country you buy their gear in, right? Sometimes they're branded Goodwill, sometimes they're branded Instec. Anyway, they make some, reasonably good quality, middle-of-the-range test gear. Oscilloscopes and function gens and stuff like that. And, they're being undercut by at least, by up to 50%. By Chinese companies who are selling rip-off products. Shock horror. Sorry, but this is news, apparently. Don't blame me, blame EE Times. So there you go. They're being undercut by 50%.
All right.
Which is crazy because Taiwan, a Taiwanese company should already have, should be already able to produce really cheap products, but somehow Goodwill are being undercut by the one hung lows. And I just thought it was funny. I'm sorry.
It's just undercut and undercutting,
hilarious.
Right?
Yeah. It's
there's another option, I guess. I mean, you could build your own now, right? I mean, that's kind of. It's not cheaper, but it's something you can do.
Build your own what?
You can build your own scope. I mean, there's the DSO Nano, and now
Heathkit's
coming back.
It's
what
a toy,
What about Heathkit? They're coming back.
Yeah, they're kits. What are they going to produce, another hobby scope? I know the Heathkit scope was big back in its day, but anyway, yes, Heathkit are back. I haven't. What's the news there? Actually, I haven't read the article. All I've heard is that Heathkit are back.
They're doing, like some beginner kits. I think they're kind of building back up the brand name, but I mean,
Right.
Alan, did you have one of those when you were younger?
I missed out
Did
on
you do
that,
Heathkit
unfortunately.
stuff?
It's kind of the wrong generation.
Heathkit was and Heathkit was an
Yeah.
American thing. I don't even think you could buy them here in Australia.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's selling
Yeah.
it because we had our own local kit and industry. Dick Smith kits and J Car
Electronics
kits and stuff
Australia.
like that.
okay.
So,
Silicon chip.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
yep.
Mm.
Oh, this was even before Silicon Chip. Oh. Yep. Anyway, we sort of had our own industry because there wasn't the huge international, communication and trade thing like there is these days. The world is one big place now. It doesn't, anyone can get anything with a credit card. Back then you didn't even have credit cards, let alone to buy something from overseas was impossible. It was next to impossible to buy something from an overseas company. So yeah, you had to have your own local industry. That's how it worked. So,
Okay.
but the world's changed now. It's all different. FedEx. Oh, there's a doorbell. I might have a delivery. It could be a new super secret product that I'm not allowed to talk about.
But more likely,
I'm waiting
Dave
for it.
parked on his neighbor's lawn.
Right. That would mean that I actually go somewhere in the car. I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore. I'm housebound.
Yeah.
That's my new life.
Yeah.
I sit here, I play with my little boy, and I tinker with stuff, and I waste my life on the internet.
There you go.
It's great.
Alan, I was going to ask you about get off my lawn mentality. Is that a ham station all to its own? Is there like just old codgers saying get off my lawn?
Right.
Yeah, a bit, unfortunately. There are some people that
Yeah.
believe they own
I
a
can
particular
imagine.
part of the spectrum, and there is the get off my lawn. What are you doing out here? Yeah, that happens. But it's
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Well, because they've been doing it for 30
no,
years.
most people are fairly good.
Yeah, some new whippersnapper comes
Yeah.
along and says, hello,
Most people
world.
are pretty good humored about it, though. I mean,
Can't have
realistically,
that.
Australians, we're pretty hard to piss off
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but what about when you reach a US guy that...
Yeah. Starts talking about, George W. Bush and how good America, how fantastic America is. And yeah, that's when you tell them.
Boy, you have us pegged, Dave. I gotta say, you got us pegged, buddy.
Oh, Yanks. We
Yeah, we
love
do.
poking Yanks,
do,
don't we, Alan?
but, we've got our own,
Yep.
craziness too. We're not quite as patriotic, but we've got some pretty
absolutely.
strange
Yeah.
traditions here.
Oh, let's hear of some that maybe Dave hasn't told us. Are there any electronics-based
geez,
ones?
I don't know. Yeah,
Oh, geez, you're putting me on the spot there.
I don't know. I haven't really been in the electronics industry long enough to tell you about that. But
Okay, all right. Well, how about this? I actually had this on the list. I mean, I wanted to just kind of... I mean, we're kind of starting to run down on time, but just to kind of get your general take on it, I'm interested in the electronics industry in Australia. You know, what you've seen. We've obviously heard Dave's opinion over and over and over.
No.
Yeah, no, we have, Dave. It's true, and we love it, of course. But Alan, what's your take on it? I mean, what have you seen, and what do you think the future is there?
well, I mean, obviously we don't make anything here anymore. It's all done in China, but that's economic realities of things. I think we design. I mean, that's not entirely true. There's plenty of stuff that we do here, but it's more niche markety kind of things. But certainly for PCs and things like that, no way. Can't compete in that kind of area, but for the creative things, certainly for some of the wireless products that I'm doing, I don't see anyone else doing anything like that. I think it's a bright future. We've got a great economy. The rest of the world's kind of tanking at the moment, which is an opportunity for us. But
Namely, someone.
Who's that?
The United States of
although
America.
it's a double-edged sword as well, because as our dollar goes up, as an exporter, that makes you less attractive, which is a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're a huge exporting country, and there's a lot of, people are losing their jobs at the moment. Just yesterday, last night, a big mining company just, sacked 1,000 people because because the Australian dollar's too high, and they can't make their compounded 15% annual profit. Shock horror, dickheads. Ah, boy. Anyway, hate business.
So you think from the creative perspective, though, and the niche kind of electronics industry, niche.
Yeah, I think that does. There will always be people with great ideas. Unfortunately, in this country, it has not always been as well supported as it could be, and that's I think a political and a cultural failure that quite often we have to go overseas. But we're becoming more, self-supporting in some ways, particularly as the rest of the world is perhaps not as there to help us as they have been in the past.
Yep. But there's really, apart from component manufacture itself in the electronics industry, there's really nothing we can't do here. As with most countries, probably, because the components, right, they all come from China or the US, or US companies, that manufacture in China or something like that. So, so apart from the base components, we can do pretty much anything here.
So there's board fab and board assembly and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
right?
It's just a matter of, scales, economies of scale and that sort of thing. But as Alan said, if you're working in a niche industry, there's a premium you charge for that sort of thing, and you can afford to make stuff here. And sort of keep everything here. So, it's...
So someone's transitioning to, like, a European style, like, because, that's how a lot of, German companies are, and even British companies, there are a lot of electronics companies over there. They're just...
Yep.
They're not the massive companies that they used to be in the 60s and 70s.
There's no component manufacturing in Europe, right, as far as I'm aware of. Or there's very little.
Well, there's some chip stuff, but less no passives. I don't believe.
There's fab. There might be fabs in Europe, right? But they're all owned by American fab companies. They're all owned by TR. ST. Of course,
ST's
right?
over there,
ST,
and AMD's German. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There are European chip fabs, but I agree totally on the packaging and then the passives. If you don't have that stuff, you're going to be kind of out of luck, right? So.
And you can't make everything using ST parts or something, or AMD parts. So, you need all the other stuff.
But
anyone who says Australia is going down the toilet in terms of electronics manufacturing is just an idiot, really. They don't know what they're talking about. It's, it's never going to die. There's always those niche industries, and that's what it's always been, because we've never had the full manufacturing. We used to make our own capacitors, our own transformers. We used to make our own
vacuum tubes.
Our own resistors.
AWA
yes,
huge
back in the, but we're talking. AWA. That's in the Australian Electronics Doco, the history of how that company failed in Australia, and that was the end of the golden age of electronics in Australia and all that sort of stuff. So,
that's in the Doco,
it's
Carl?
in the doco, yes.
The one I actually I don't believe in that documentary anymore.
Right, because it's so long in coming. Come on, Carl. I know he's listening. He's in Kuala Lumpur at the moment or something. Jeez, he's like on a plane every 2 days. He's
what's
going to
happen now? You know what the problem's going to be? He's going to hear this and be like, "Oh, got to interview Alan." Sorry, Alan.
Right. Okay. Sorry. The project's delayed even further. Yeah.
Thanks
There's
a lot.
always someone new to interview. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Anyway. So it's not going to die. It's always been niche. It's always been fairly nichey. Ever since the 70s onwards. Back in the 60s it was a bit different when we manufactured our own TVs here and our own tubes, and everything was discrete. So you could manufacture your own capacitors, your own resistors, and your own possibly even transistors here. I don't know.
Small scale transistors.
Yeah, but and your own vacuum and your own tubes, as Alan said, and your own CRTs and stuff like that. So, we could manufacture an entire TV here, but now it's different. Now it requires, to make anything, it requires a microprocessor which needs a $5 billion fab. So, it's not like someone here can start up their own company and start making their own microprocessors. It's just not going to happen. So, Unfortunately.
This is your whole chips
Or
at
could-
home argument, right? You're no one.
Yeah.
Yes. It all comes back. All right. Well.
Yeah, another crazy yank.
All right. Final note,
boy.
Alan. Yay or nay?
Yay or nay?
Yay or nay on the chips at home?
On the chip maker.
I think we just have to ask it as a. We don't need to get into it. Just say yay or nay.
Yeah.
And let me frame the question.
Yeah.
The original
No,
question was, will it be, is it possible in the near term, and will it be a revolution?
Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it going to be a revolution? Nah, not in your life.
Yeah, thank you.
There's no way you can compete with $1 billion fabs and doing the kind of feature sizes that they do. It's just, you're not going to do that in your bedroom. But could someone make something, like a LSI? No way. But could someone build a couple of transistors? Yeah, maybe.
Or even a small micro that kind of sort of works? Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, but it's not going to be efficient. It's going to be leaky as hell. It's going to be huge. You could do it for fun. Maybe make a ring oscillator and look, it oscillates. But yeah.
Yeah, that's about as far as. Well, I'll go as far as saying somebody will actually make a simple microprocessor. Somebody will actually be able to get down, a 100 micron feature size or something, and they'll be able to
You
do.
guys messed up the argument here.
Like a 4-day. No,
No,
go
I mean,
back to
you were
episode
supposed to say
1,
yes or
dude.
no. You're supposed to say yes or no. So he said
Well,
no.
he's basically
That's a
saying no.
qualified
He's saying no. You're right. You're right.
Qualified.
That's a no. It's okay. I'm gonna call nationalism on this one. I gotta say, you Aussies stick together. So
It's a total no, dude.
it's okay.
Anyone
it's all
with
right,
common
guys.
sense knows anything
It's okay.
better.
It's okay.
As much as we like
All right,
Jerry's,
well.
little transistors and oscillators and stuff, I mean,
We love 'em.
It's awesome,
Yeah.
and it's a hack. It's an awesome hack, but I would love wrong. I'd love to be, in the diamond age where you have Matter compilers and you can build whatever the hell you like. But not going to happen anytime soon.
Yep.
All right. Nationalism.
Are you ever going to give up, Chris?
No.
Dude, you're just digging your grave even deeper.
Good.
All right, fair call.
Send out a
You can do it,
sandwich.
yeah. You live in the land of the free. So, yep, you can do what you like.
Mm-hmm. Alan, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yes,
It's been
thank you,
fun.
Alan.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
No worries. First fellow, not only fellow Australian, but a fellow Sydney blogger. Awesome. And we haven't even met yet. We haven't even caught up.
We should one day.
How many other electronics bloggers are there in Sydney? Well, there's John from Tronic Stuff. He's not quite in Sydney. He's up the coast somewhere.
You should have him on one day.
We need, I'm sure. Yes, we should.
All right.
There you go. Open call. All right. Well, that'll just about do it. We're 7 minutes overtime. Oops.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
guys. Well, we'll catch you next week.
See ya.
you later. Thanks.
And that's a wrap.
Huh.